Okay, welcome. So this is going to be the first recording for Elements of Physics, Phys 1101. This will be the online version of the course. I'll probably post this for both my online and in-person recordings, in-person classes rather. What I'm going to do first of all is share the screen and go to my, yeah, that's what I want. Okay, maybe. All right. So there we go. And now you should be able to see the screen here. First thing I want to do is go to the syllabus. Oops, looks like that's no good. So I'm going to have to log back in. Okay, so what we have right here is the syllabus. Now, my name is Alexander Wren. You can call me Mr. Wren, or if you prefer, just Wren, or Mr. H, whatever works for you. No PhD. So you pronounce it just like it's RIN rather than that H is silent. There's nothing going on there. Best way to get in touch with me is going to be through email. Just my ISU email. It's right there at the top of the syllabus. My email signature will have a phone number that I'm frequently not at that phone because it's an office I share, and if I've got to do recordings or something for a class, I will almost certainly be in another location doing that recording. So please, if you need to get in touch with me, email is the best. For office hours. It's kind of a weird time for office hours, 6 o'clock to 7:30 on Mondays and Wednesdays, but this is actually right after the lab sections. So if you are on campus for lab, I wanted to make it easy for you to attend one of the office hours in person if you have questions on any of the work, questions on anything I have not covered. So as I said, we're the asynchronous online class. We have no set meeting time for our class. To give you a quick overview of what this class is going to be, this is going to be a survey class, which means it's going to come very quickly. There's going to be a lot of content. We're not going to cover everything in physics, but we're going to cover just about everything in physics, and it will be kind of a quick surface level coverage of a lot of this stuff. We'll go into a little bit more depth in classical mechanics, but for the most part, we're just going to be looking at a very very surface level covering of things like materials science. That'll cover thermodynamics and fluids and some things like that. Also electromagnetism and optics. We probably won't even get into magnetism in very much depth at all. So that's something to keep in mind. For the required text. So College Physics by Jeroen and Hinrichs. This is an open textbook. If you wanted to get an online version of this text, it's free. But what is required for this class is not an online version of the text. What's required is the Perusall license. Okay, and I'll get into what Perusall is going to be in a little bit more depth a little bit later. But basically, this just means that the ordinary e-text is not going to be available. We need to have the Perusall license. Again, you don't need a physical copy of the book. If you want one, if you prefer one, that's fine, but you don't need a physical copy of the book. So when it comes to recommended course materials, main thing you'll need is a calculator. However you want to take notes, however you prefer to record what you've been learning, that's up to you. I'm not going to have anything required there. Now, what I want to do next, the next little bit talks about the different components of homework, but I want to give you the overview first. So your grade is going to basically break down into 4 categories. Now, the midterm and the final, those I think are clear what those are. But the other 2 categories that'll be 60% of your grade are what I've called engagement and practice. Now, you can kind of think of engagement as it's sort of like participation, but it's going to be a little bit more documented. And then practice will be kind of the equivalent of homework. Now, to go over a bit more what I mean by engagement, this is why Perusall will be required. Now, basically what Perusall is, it's a collaborative annotation software. So what I'll be doing is I'll be posting lectures inside Perusall along with recommended readings inside Perusall. Now, you don't necessarily need to look at any one of these, any one of those in particular. You definitely don't need to look at all of them, but what I will be grading you on, what I will be looking at is how well you're engaging with the material in some way. So some students would really prefer the lectures, some would really prefer the textbooks. Basically, what I'm going to be checking is that you're kind of participating with the class. You're showing me that you're interested in what's going on by writing comments, questions, or answers to other classmates' questions in the text. So you can kind of see the breakdown. 1 point for comments or questions relating to basic elaborations, 2 points for comments that I think are particularly good or very good questions, and 3 points for offering really good answers to questions posed by students. And this could be for either the lecture or the text. I'll show you what perusal looks like a little bit more a bit later, and you can kind of see what I mean by that. But basically, this is kind of the basic way you can earn your participation points or your engagement points. Now, additionally, you can get engagement points up to 3 a week by regularly attending class or office hours. Now, you guys don't have an in-person class, so you can't get engagement points that way. But if you're coming to office hours, and asking me questions there, that's another way to get a couple engagement points. It's not going to give you everything you need because you will need 10 points per week, but you can get some by showing up and talking to me in person or via Zoom if you need to do that. Speaking of Zoom, I didn't mention this when it comes to office hours. If you need office hours via Zoom, I can do that, but please let me know in advance just so I know to open up the Zoom room and make make sure that I'm looking for you on the day you're doing that. Now, the last way you can get engagement points is you can post additional online resources. So if you're thinking that, okay, this book doesn't make sense, this professor is just droning on and on about things I don't understand, and you want to go find a resource that you think is particularly helpful, and you go ahead and do this, I will give you engagement points for that because it shows me that you're given a shot to try and understand this stuff. So things like links to lectures or demonstrations that you find help clarify the subject. Another example of this, particularly as we get more into the field of generative AI, if you find that you've become good at asking AI prompts for questions, and you find an AI prompt as being particularly clarifying, I will give you some credit for that. Now, I will say, sometimes the AI is wrong. So a better way to get engagement points, to be honest, is to ask the AI something and catch it when it makes a mistake. So that I will definitely give you credit for. If you post just an AI explanation and I read through that and it turns out to be incorrect, I probably won't give you as much engagement points for that, but I might give you something. But really, one of the things I think AI is particularly good for is you can kind of use it sort of as a way to see how much you understand. Like, is what the AI saying making sense to you, and is it jiving with the other things you learned? So I definitely wouldn't suggest just trying to learn everything by asking an AI like ChatGPT or Gemini to summarize it for you. But if you want it to give you a quick summary and you're going to compare that against the what you've learned in the lectures or questions you've asked me, and particularly if you catch it when it makes a mistake, that's something I will definitely give you engagement points for. So you can think about it this way. These are the different ways you can earn engagement points. I'm open to other ways as well, but hopefully there's enough of this that you can earn 10 points per week. That's what's going to be required for engagement. Now, I will allow you to pad your engagement a bit. So particularly if you've got time at the beginning of the semester, you want to get a bunch of weeks where you can get up to 12 points. That will actually help you when it comes to if later in the semester you have to skip a week or something like that. If you've got 12 points of engagement for those early weeks, that can kind of help you pad your grade there. Now, the next category of work was practice, and really what this is going to be homework. So I'm kind of in the process of remaking some of these assignments. I will definitely post the first one for later today or tomorrow, and that will be due on Sunday at 10 p.m. Now, generally speaking, there's going to be two types of questions, either numeric or conceptual questions. Now, I'll try to give you a sense of kind of what these things will look like. I'll go over to this one is currently hidden, but if we go to a preview here, we'll go to question 4 here, and it says, okay, how many centimeters cubed are in 1 meter cubed? Well, you know, this is a basic calculation. You just get to answer the question. It turns out that there are 10,000, 1 million centimeter cubed in a meter cubed. And then you go to next page, and that, it's not it's gonna wait until I submit to answer these things, but 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 that's basically how you would do it. Now, if I go to one of the more conceptual type questions, it would give you something like this. So, I'll open this image in new tab, and it's a little small, but we can zoom in. All right. So what we've got here is we've got these 4 points labeled on a graph, and we see, point A, it's on this line right here, B and C are on this line, and then D is on this line. And it wants to, so if we go back to the question, whoops. It wants us to rank the slope of each one of these points. Now you can go ahead and take a look at this, but the correct answer here is D is the greatest. So D is greater than B, and B and C are actually equal because they are part of the same line. So the rise over run on the same line is there. Now D has a greater slope because it's got a greater rise over a smaller run. I think it's got a greater rise, but in any event, it's steeper the way you can see it that way. Now, some people might look at A and they might say, well, A is actually steeper than both B and C. But the issue is, and this is one of the things that these kinds of questions are designed to get you to think about, is that A has a negative slope, okay? And even though it might be steeper, if you're skiing down both of these, A would be a steeper slope. Because it's negative, when we calculate slopes, we calculate A as a negative slope, and that means it has a smaller slope than anything. It has a smaller slope than anything with a positive slope, okay? So this is going to be sort of an example of more a conceptual type question. Now I go back to this. Basically, what you'll need is you also need 10 points worth of practice each week. Now, the issue is I'm not going to really let you go over your maximum. I might make exceptions, but in general, plan on getting 10 points worth of practice each week. Now, thing is, there will be more than 10 points available for you to do each week. You might have 20 points worth of practice to do, maybe even more. One of the things that came up, it's come up in previous classes, is some students find that I was given a little bit too much work. So I'm going to allow you to kind of pace yourself. If you've only got the juice to do 10 points worth of practice on this per week, okay, that's fine. You can get the 10 points worth of practice, okay, and just do your 10 points. That will be worth full credit. There is more practice for you to do, but you only need 10 points for full credit, okay? And again, extra credit does not carry over from week to week. If this is something that maybe at the end, if I see you've been doing consistent practice, I might take into account that you've done a lot of extra practice. But what I don't want is I don't want you to front load all of your practice and then get a whole bunch of weeks where you get no practice. Okay. So in my view, getting consistent practice is more important than doing a bunch of practice at one time. Now, the incentive to do more practice will be in the midterm and final examinations. So I'm not going to take all of the questions from the practice, but a significant number of the questions, probably around half, will be pulled directly from the half of the questions on the midterm and final exams will be pulled directly from the homework assignments. Okay. And so if you've done all of those, particularly if you've got, you got them written down in a notebook, you can just go back and, look at those and you've got the assignment already, particularly if you've asked me questions. Okay. But if you haven't done, then that problem on the midterm or the final might be completely new to you. Now, as for the questions that won't appear on the practice, they will be of the same type. Okay. So like I say, they're gonna fall into this numeric category or this conceptual category. And a lot of those conceptual questions, they do involve ranking. So that problem we just saw, it involved ranking the slope. It's a very simple one, but the conceptual questions will involve ranking. Okay. So that's how that will work. Now, generally, I have due dates. They're going to be pretty firm for a due date on Sunday evening. But you get in touch with me. I'm willing to grant extensions. Just it's much easier for me to justify that if you get in touch with me beforehand rather than if you let me know after. But again, I just communicate with me and I'll see what I can do to work with you on this. So we've already talked about the grading overview. You can look at the grading breakdown. It's pretty standard for the plus minuses. This is just a tentative schedule, how that will work out, along with the tentative book chapters that'll go with that. Now, real quick discussion about lab. These are going to be two separate classes. So you won't have lab and you won't have you won't have the grades of lab and lecture mixing. Okay. So the point is, if you miss a bunch of labs, but you think you're doing good in lecture, you're rocking the exams and everything that you've done really well in the midterm. Don't count on your lecture portion to make up for missing lab. Okay. Now, a little bit either later today or tomorrow, I'll have an orientation video for lab. If you're in the lab, we don't have lab this week, so it's just going to be this orientation. I'm not going to make you come in for a whole lab period just for that. But just keep in mind that the grades will be separate. I try to kind of get the content to roughly align, but given the requirements and the labs that I've been given, that doesn't always work out. So, there's no guarantee that they're going to completely play off one another in that correct way. So we try, but like I said, there's no guarantee. So again, think of these two as sort of two separate commitments. You can't just do one or the other and count on the rely on your performance on one of them to take care of the other. Okay, most of the rest of the syllabus is kind of basic syllabus stuff. Go ahead and read through it. Let me know if you have any questions on any of that. Was there anything else? I don't think so. I think that's it. So what I wanted to do now is go show you sort of what perusal is going to look like. And so we'll go back to the main course and you should have a perusal link to a site here. Whoops. Oh, dang it. I guess that didn't work. Okay, so apparently that link does not work. Okay, so hopefully that'll work. All right, so all right, so there you go. That should open up perusal. And right now there's nothing in there for our class. I initially put the assignment in the other class, but eventually you'll be able to, there'll be some content here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the other class just to show you sort of what this looks like. A2. And what we've got right now is we've got, and this will be posted later today for the online class as well. You've got this making the most of learning with Perusall. If you want to take a look at that, I'll go through that, and if you've asked questions about how Perusall works, I'll give you some engagement points for that as well. But when we can, you can click here and open the assignment, and you've got a number of different things. Okay, so the first thing you've got is you've got my recorded video. Now this is about 43 minutes. Oh, and you can see where people have commented on this by this point in here. Now, one thing about the videos in Perusall is they are hosted by YouTube. So I don't know if YouTube is gonna, someday just start throwing ads every 5 minutes. And if that happens and you don't want to get the hosting via YouTube, you can go back to the course. And like I say, it's not here just yet, but in this one. But there will also be, just a link to the lecture where you can click on it and you can just watch the same lecture. It's the exact same video. Watch it through, just watch it through the Moodle. There will be there will be no ads. Now, the other thing about these ones, about the ones on the Moodle, that the captioning is done by Panopto, which I think is more closely affiliated with the school rather than the captioning done by YouTube. So I don't know. Sometimes the YouTube captions work great. Sometimes they don't work as well. I think the Panopto version that's going to be on the Moodle will be more official if that's something you're interested in. Okay, so the other things that are in Perusall here. All right, so let's just say, I mean, we can even go to look at what somebody has written here. Okay, so at around 5 minutes in, so this is a good example of a scientific model representing a simplified real world version of is the Cavendish experiment. Using a simple apparatus consisting of a simple torsion balance, was able to calculate the density of the Earth with impressive accuracy, later led to the discovery of the gravitational constant. Okay, so this person has kind of elaborated on what I was talking about here, and I was talking about scientific models. So you can click it at various points. I can go forward, click on this one. And no, it's not working so well. In any event, let's just say we go here and we go to add a comment. Okay. And I might ask a question here. I might say, okay, so why were we told that a hypothesis is just an educated guess? That happens to be what I'm talking about in this part, so I'll just mark that up as a comment. So I can do that, and I don't know, it seems like the loading is having a little bit of problems right now. I can't really say one way or the other. But there we go. Okay, so there it crops up, and now that comment is part of the video. Okay, so you can, when I'm reviewing this, I can go through and look at the different comments at different points in my video. All right, so and I can kind of see where conversations happened. And you can see here that again somebody's you can kind of see kind of what's going on there. Same student actually replied to a question I already posed there before. So in any event, you can kind of see what's going on, how you get to watch the video and then post some questions. Okay, and it's these questions, it's your engagement with the video, and not just the video, but it's your engagement there where it's going to be the thing I'm going to grade you on. Now, this is assignment part 1 of 4. You can go on to the next part, which gets into the reading. Okay. Now, reading 1.1, this is just going to be a section of the book. So if you prefer to learn more about this rather than hearing me ramble, you prefer to read the book and engage with it that way, that's perfectly fine. I will take a look at this here. Now, we can you can scroll through and see the different comments and questions that are already there. So here I highlighted a model and then said this wasn't how Mr. N described it in his lecture, what accounts for the difference. And that's just kind of showing the functionality of the system. I can say so does a law always have a mathematical relationship? Now, that's and it again says often it can be expressed in a single mathematical equation, but then you can see that comment is there and people could come take a look at it, respond to it, answer questions based on all of that stuff. Okay, so the main idea is that you've got, when you look at this assignment, you've got a number of different parts that you can, oh, there we go, open. You got, 3 different readings and the lecture where you can post questions, you can post comments, things like that. Okay, so this is how you get your engagement points, and this is why you need Perusall. Now, a word about Perusall. Again, the text is free, but you are going to have to pay. I believe the price is $9.99 for the Perusall license. Okay, now that is way less than the book bundle is going to charge you at 25 something per credit hour. So, I don't know your entire picture, but as far as this class goes, you definitely don't need to pay the full, 25 something per credit hour, because the only thing I need you to have is access to Perusall. Okay. And you need to be able to comment on the videos, comment on the textbook. And the main thing, I think it gives you a grace period, so you can start using Perusall today, even if you don't pay for it yet. So give that a shot, and you can start looking at content today. Like I said, I have not quite posted the assignment yet for this class, but that will get posted later today. That is Monday, the first day of class as well. Okay, so that is all I wanted to talk about today. So I'm going to go ahead and end things there. Please feel free to email me if you've got any questions, anything I've said that's unclear, anything like that. And I am happy to give you a hand with this. So looking forward to having a great semester. Take care. I will talk to you all later.